Before I died, I kissed Peter just to gross him out. After I died, I found myself back at the orphanage from my past life. I hadn't even gotten comfortable when the orphanage blew up. Peter walked out from the rubble carrying a laser cannon. What was that kiss about earlier? And boom, there I went. One moment I was pleased with myself for grossing Peter out before I died. The next moment, I felt a sharp pain on my head as someone yanked me up and slapped me. I thought I got dragged up just to get whipped, didn't expect to hit the jackpot and be reborn. I opened my eyes and the scene before me was the orphanage where I spent 17 years, not the hospital room. The director's voice started becoming clear in my ears. You should be honored to serve Mr. Weitz. The orphanage raised you all these years, and you're not even willing to spend a few nights with him to make some money for us? A thankless brat. Today I'm going to teach you who's boss here. That's when I realized, I really got a second chance. In my past life, the director forced me to serve high society members. I ran away and got adopted by Mike. I decided to stick to the same plan this time. After all, Mike's family was loaded and powerful in the H galaxy. Determined, I decided to deal with the person in front of me first. This time, unlike when I was 17, I've been through assassin training. I grabbed the director's finger. He frowned. What are you doing? I smirked. Taking you down. But before I could make my move, I heard the sound of helicopter blades whirring outside. In a flash, the orphanage was blown to bits. I was on a small patch of ground, dry heaving. WTF? This wasn't supposed to happen. The sound of calm footsteps approached, and a tall figure emerged from the smoke. I went from dry heaving to a full-on coughing fit. It was a 20-year-old Peter, Mike's nephew. In my past life, he was the golden boy I couldn't beat when it came to family inheritance. I wasn't supposed to meet him until I got to the family house. Yet here he was, standing in front of me with a laser cannon. I felt so awkward because I had just kissed him to gross him out before my death. Key point, it was a full-on French kiss. His eyes locked onto mine, glinting intensely. I had a bad feeling. Just like that, Peter squatted in front of me. What was that kiss about earlier? Me, I'm screwed. Peter had been reborn too. Boss, we got the man. Interstellar bodyguards dragged the director over. Peter looked away nonchalantly, and I let out a sigh of relief. He threw a coat over my head. Wait for me here. Through the coat's hem, I saw him roll up his sleeves to his elbows. The director started yelling. This is a crime. Peter remained calm as he stared at the director. I bought this land 3 hours ago. This is going to become a school. He took the belt handed by a bodyguard, chuckled lightly. We've just sped up the demolition. The director stood there stunned. Peter's lips curled into a smile. Though hitting people is wrong. I'm really mad at you right now. He handed the belt to the director, his tone gentle like he was giving advice to a friend. Bite down on it, it'll be better for you. The director instinctively bit the belt. Peter nodded politely. Let's start. He punched the director right in the nose. Then he swung his fist into the side of his waist. Finally, he pushed down on his shoulders and kneed him in the chest. The director grunted and fell forward. Peter steadied him. You all right? As the director shook his head, Peter yanked his hair back. His gentle gaze examined the director's face. This is for trying to secretly sell someone to me. He let go and ordered the nearby bodyguards. Call Calvin to patch him up. He then took a handkerchief from an assistant and meticulously cleaned his fingers. Take a good rest. We'll settle the rest later. After that, the cunning little devil came back to me. I quickly put on a panic-stricken face. Peter paused in his steps. Christina, are you scared? He seemed hesitant. Isn't this kind of thing commonplace for you? Peter assumed I was reborn too. I feigned ignorance, looked at him like he was the devil. Stay away from me. Peter's eyebrows furrowed. He pressed his lips. Christina? Oops, don't know her. Mike? Not familiar. Coco? That's my dog who got adopted later. No idea where it's digging through trash now. I didn't dare to respond. Who knows what's up now? When I last saw Peter, he was healthy. No way he suddenly died, unless my kiss killed him from anger. Peter cradled my face. Do you remember me? Is he trying to get revenge? Better to act clueless. Ignorance is bliss, as they say. Knowing his personality, even if he's mad, he'd never blame an innocent me from a parallel world. Decided, I whimpered. Big brother, I don't know what you're talking about. I'll just ignore him every time he calls my name. I promise I won't tell anyone what happened today. Once I'm out, I'll join the Interstellar newspaper and write exposés about you. Can you let me go? Life has its ups and downs, don't underestimate a broke youth. He tightly hugged me. I don't know if it was just me, but something seemed off. Peter's eyes lowered, his eyelashes fluttered, looking too fragile compared to moments ago. He whispered in my ear. Seems like you didn't come back. His voice, filled with hidden disappointment. It's just me. I was amused. Revenge, is it? No chance. I blinked innocently. Peter smiled back, just as serenely. It's okay if you don't remember. His tone was final. At least stay where I can see you. And then I got tossed into the spacecraft. Peter rolled down the window and glanced at the bodyguard. Buy every new dress in the store. He commanded. The bodyguard, standing at the door, immediately responded. Okay. As the bodyguard turned to leave, Peter interjected. Wait. The bodyguard stopped, awaiting further instructions. Turning to me, Peter asked. What color do you like? Perplexed by his question, I answered honestly. Blue. The man in front of me crossed his long legs with elegance. His arm rested on his knee, and his hand cradled his chin. Peter remarked. Get the pinkest princess dress. As he gazed out the window nonchalantly. I thought. What was the point of asking me that? The old mansion sits by the lake on the main planet of the H system. As soon as we entered, Peter requested the housekeeper to prepare some food. He turned to me and asked. You still like it sweet and spicy, right? I almost nodded, suddenly feeling tense inside. Wow, he was testing me again. Peter silently observed me. I put on my best obedient act. I'll eat anything, not picky at all. Peter ignored me, leaving me to enjoy the peace. As I was devouring food at the dining table, he snapped his fingers. With a nod to the approaching servant, he said. Bring John over. John, his personal lawyer and one of his trusted aides from my past life, was summoned. I glanced suspiciously at Peter. Why call John at a time like this? Once John arrived, Peter answered my question. Pointing at me, he said. Get her registered. John immediately understood. Boss, what relationship? Without hesitation, Peter replied. Father and daughter. I was stunned, my fork clattered onto my plate. John hesitated. Boss, you're only 20. Peter countered. But I'm really rich. John's professionalism shone through at that moment. This storyline was off the rails. Is anyone going to address this situation? A young man in a floral shirt and black leather jacket walked in just then. Boss, you called me? Peter gestured at me. You're with her from now on. Jason, sporting a few freckles and a smile showcasing his canine teeth brighter than his gold chain, responded cheerfully. Got it, boss. Once everyone left, Peter slowly returned to my side. Privately, you should still call me brother. I raised my eyebrows in surprise. He continued calmly. I was friends with your parents. I quipped. Yeah, right. Regaining my composure, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You're adopting me? Peter nodded. Yes. Scrutinizing him, I asked. What's your plan? He remained unbothered under my gaze. First, get into college. We'll discuss the rest later. My sharp gaze softened. Peter may have been easy on the eyes, but his words weren't so charming. I've hired 8 tutors for you. They'll start tomorrow. He added. Tonight, let's do some practice tests so they can gauge your level. In my past life, I bought my high school and college diplomas, rebelling. I might not be cut out for studying. Mike always said making me study was a waste of time. Instead, I spent my time building physical resilience and practicing combat scenarios. When I eventually helped Mike manage affairs, my role was merely to convey his ideas and supervise others. Peter's deep gaze was unreadable. You haven't tried, so how do you know you can't? He asked, tilting his head. Or have you tried? I shook my head, teary-eyed. Never tried. Bring on the tests. I relented. If sadness gave me strength, I'd be invincible now. Not long after dinner, a striking figure ran in. Brother. Her voice was sweet and melodious. Golden curls danced in the breeze. The familiar figure was Amy, a singer famously rumored to have dated Peter in my previous life. Turns out, the rumors were false, the relationship was real. Amy's enchanting eyes landed on me. And who is this? She asked. Peter withdrew his arm from hers. A kid from the street. Amy shrugged it off. Doesn't matter. Whoa, I sensed a challenge here. Amy wrapped her arm around Peter's, playfully swinging it. Tonight she invited him to watch her perform at the Interstellar Theater. Glancing at me briefly, I bared my teeth at her. Ah, he's watching me as I do practice tests tonight. I chimed in. In a baffling twist, Peter chuckled and said. Sure. My teeth gritted in frustration as annoyance welled inside me. He nonchalantly added. You're coming too. So much for studying hard and improving oneself. I propped my foot on the table, lounging in my chair. Blah, not thrilled. Not going. I declared. Peter simply nodded. Fine, stay and do the tests then. Suddenly, a mountain of tests appeared in front of me, dropped by a servant from who knows where. Peter further poked at my fragile psyche. Finish before bedtime. Tests spilled over the table, forming a winding path. Fingers aching, I switched tactics. But seriously, education is more about character and temperament, right? I argued. Peter smiled wryly. Oh. Studying's important, but character's priceless. I continued. Hearing her sing could enhance my soul way more than a test mountain. I genuinely pleaded. Take me with you. I need soul cleansing through music. At the theater, Amy headed to the green room to prepare. I followed behind Peter and his group, watching as the waiter respectfully took his black card and swiped it at the door. He had swiped the card in the elevator too. Seems like security here is tight, but not impossible to circumvent. A thought hit me, and I slowly stopped walking. Just then, Peter, like he had eyes in the back of his head, turned, his dark gaze slicing through the crowd to land on me. He asked casually. Where are you going? With confidence, I replied. Bathroom. Without another word, I turned around and pretended to be in a hurry. A cold voice called out from behind. Come back. Jason blocked my way, grinning widely. I turned back and added. Number 2. Peter's expression didn't change. Come here. The light in the hallway bathed him, highlighting his sharp features and gentle demeanor, making him appear almost divine. But all of that was a facade. Peter nodded at the spot beside him. Here. The entire hallway went silent. I forced a smile. That'd be pretty bold of me. Peter was generous. Lots of space here, go ahead. Dozens of eyes watched me intently. I gave up and said, Lost the feeling. Peter didn't answer, just chuckled and turned into the private room. Jason sidled up to me as I stood outside. He bared his teeth. Don't underestimate constipation, it can be deadly. I shot back. What, you want to lend me a finger to help? Jason's face turned bright red, stuttering. No way. Not possible. Ugh, annoying. Rolling my eyes, I entered the room. Not much happened for a few seconds. Peter was smiling. Need mine? I replied. Man, you're hearing something else. In the end, I couldn't cleanse my soul by listening to music. Didn't even catch a breeze. Peter had someone drag me into a closed room to transcribe books. He said it was, to see if I'll leap from quantitative to qualitative change. 5 hours later, I came out. Something had changed in my soul. Also known as a mental twist. The theater long closed and emptied. Not a soul in sight, even the guards were gone. What, she sang, he attended. Thunder and fire moved the guards. And then they forgot me? I found Peter's box by memory. As soon as I cracked the door, the strong scent of alcohol hit me. The theater lights were still on, casting light through the dark purple glass, making everything mysterious and eerie. Peter was leaning back in the chair, eyes closed. Long legs stretched out, ties slightly loosened, revealing his Adam's apple. Relaxed and sensual. I quietly closed the door and moved towards him. Peter was just 20 now, not yet with that commanding presence from a past life. His features were fine and handsome, with a vibe still carrying some youthful innocence and freshness. I stared at his unripe face, reaching to touch his chest. Out of nowhere, Peter opened his eyes. The moment our eyes met, he spoke abruptly. That was my first kiss. My smile froze. Huh. His hand tightened around my wrist, hot. You owe me a kiss. Time to kiss it back. Peter's eyes were like a wolf spotting prey in the woods. The kind that hasn't eaten in days, eager to devour. Christina. His voice like gravel, leaving a tantalizing itch. He even seemed aggrieved. Not coming back, how do I get it back? I didn't shy away from his gaze. Buddy, you've got the wrong person. I gave a naive smile. Peter blinked, confused. Then slumped back on the couch. I laughed, holding the access card I pulled from his coat. Perfect timing, perfect place, perfect people. Time to hightail it out of here. Made it out of the city without a hitch. I set the aircraft to autopilot. Reclined my seat. Relaxed, I closed my eyes. Buddy. The sky's the limit. Whether it's Amy or a moth. Go talk about love. I won't play along. Must have slept wrong. Because why else would I wake to Peter's face tapping on the window? The dude's face practically pressed against the glass, still annoyingly handsome in a terrifying way. I leaned back, hands crossed over my chest. Just a nightmare, no biggie, nothing serious. The nightmare started tugging the door handle. Come out. Help, why's the car in reverse? I whispered through the window crack. Not getting out. You calm yourself first. Peter brushed aside strands of hair from his forehead. Unfazed, he said. Get out first. Auntie made chestnut cakes. Seeing how calm he looked, I hopped out of the car. Peter gave me one last look, then silently began walking back. The mansion living room was empty, with a plate of warm chestnut cakes on the table. I ate and took the plate to the kitchen, planning in my head. The aircraft might have a remote control system. That's how I ended up back at the gate. Peter looked calm, likely doesn't care about me. Soon he might stop caring about me once he believes I didn't reincarnate. Then I can finally pursue Mike. I turned around, pleased with myself, only to find Peter watching from the doorway. When did he get there? Seeing his sleeves rolled up, my heart skipped. That look, I've only seen it when he was about to fight. I went pale. Weren't you not hitting people? Peter raised an eyebrow. Did I say I'd hit you? I pointed at his rolled-up sleeves. Your sleeves are up. Peter looked at me expressionlessly. Rolled them up to feel cooler. The big bad wolf shows his tail. I glanced at the window crack, then at the door frame Peter wasn't blocking. It's winter, you know. Peter merely huffed a laugh. I lunged for the window, fainting before darting towards the open door. Watch this, fully committed, unstoppable. A big hand reached out towards me. I wasn't quick enough to dodge what was coming. My foot slipped, and I landed square on my butt. That's when Peter threw in a chilly remark. I was already boiling inside with no place to vent. The marble tiles were chillingly cold against my rear. His brutal honesty hit me hard. I played the pity card. Brother, it's so cold. Peter walked over and said. Cold is just right. He lifted me by the collar, and our eyes met. He was hard to read. If he doesn't care about me, it's going to get cold real soon. Relationships should be a mutual exchange, equal give and take. Before I realized it, I rolled my eyes. Peter whispered softly. Christina. I knew you were back too. Something felt off. The tone was all wrong. Once you grab onto a suspicion, everything connected becomes clearer. I tested him. Are you really drunk or not? Peter didn't even try to hide it. Fake. I just wanted to trick you. Oh, how annoying. Lying in bed sick for so long, even my basic guard is down. Peter mentioned what he said when we first met again. Why did you kiss me? I pushed him away. Does it matter? His hand at his side slowly clenched like he was holding something back. He murmured. It's important to me. He looked so wronged. I can't deal with him acting as if the world is ending. Peter, what's your problem? It's just a kiss. I went on. Does kissing me make you want to die? Fine, my bad for bothering you. Do whatever you want. Peter went pale. The shadow of his lashes trembled slightly. That's not it, Christina. He sighed. I couldn't get mad at you. I am. His voice trailed off, words swirling in my ears, making waves. He breathed out. I like you. Oh my gosh. He's stealing my moves. Gotta be his way to mess with me even more. My eyes widened. You're talking nonsense. Such over-the-top drama pouring right on me. When I first got home, didn't he block me every day? Didn't he always delay me on purpose when I was busiest? He always showed up with a group to mock me at my worst moments. And his crew did it with his silent consent. Peter's breath hitched, rubbing his temples. First, you either ignored me or snapped at me. He glanced at me then looked away, blushing slightly. Bringing people along was me chickening out from meeting you alone. Me. Getting shy, are we? Under my gaze, Peter got serious, coughing awkwardly. Second, I've never underestimated you. I wanted to introduce you to my friends. Those guys bothering you didn't have my permission. I punished them when I found out, cut business ties too. Peter's response seemed genuine. He had no reason to lie. I wasn't Mike's foster anymore and couldn't threaten him. If he really likes me, then maybe. I looked him in the eye, seeking answers. When I was dying, you brought flowers not to mock me? He'd boasted about his wealth then. Doctor said you're broke for treatment, my liquid assets are 67 billion. His words had ticked me off, leading to my impulsive kiss. Peter chuckled bitterly. Didn't want you to feel taking my money was an insult, wanted to show I was willing to lend it. Plus, I'd already covered hospital bills and arranged your transfer. I was stunned. And then? Then? Peter blinked, frowning before getting angry. You kissed me and lost it. What and then? His emotional intensity caught me off guard, and I scratched my head awkwardly. Thankfully, Jason ran in like a little angel. "Boss, the math teacher's here." "What's with this disruptor?" Peter stared silently. I blinked hard at him. "Brother, time to get to the bottom of this." "No interruptions." Peter turned away. "Pack up for class." I sighed. No wonder he can't win me over. "You got no game, dude." 6 hours non-stop, I lay sprawled on the couch in the hall. My brain felt evolved but also twisted. I squeezed my head into the couch cushions, mumbling. "Help, my brain's boxing." Microwaves, particles, buns, dumplings, big ribs. Force, heat, light, electricity, magnetism, steamed cakes, noodles with sauce. Knowledge dressed as food trying to tempt me, too vicious. Warm hands patted my head gently, calloused fingers rubbing circles. Peter's voice carried warmth, hiding a smile. "Hungry? Let's get something tasty." I mumbled. "No way. But it's your favorite place's private room." I stood, glancing nonchalantly at Peter. "Fine, let's go." "Just for you." Peter smiled. "My pleasure. Let's go already." After ordering, Peter took a work call. I played it cool but figured I should give him space, so I wandered to the outdoor garden. The wind chilled, and my stomach growled. It had been about 5 minutes, time to head back. Passing the corridor, I caught shoving sounds around the corner. Patrons here probably had notable status. No need to stir trouble. Why bother with Peter? He's brought back a girl to the mansion recently, right? Oh, that hit close to home. I switched course and eavesdropped. "Don't act grateful when you got the good deal." "What? Not kissing up means I'm playing hard to get?" That voice is familiar. "Really? You think everyone has to revolve around you just because you're a woman? What do they see in you? Is it for those non-existent muscles, or because the money you flaunt isn't even worth one of my performances?" Man, she's really giving it to him. Does he really fancy himself a hot commodity? "Please, I was just saying." "Ugh, let go of me." I peek around the corner of the wall. Sure enough, it's Amy. Some lump of a man won't let her go. His bulky body clings to a tight white silk shirt, glowing oily under the hallway lights. The guy seems enraged and starts mouthing off after getting poked. "Hey, I heard you're hanging on to Peter while cozying up to his subordinates. Such a slut from the H system, how clean could you be?" I pick up a small stone from the flower pot, aim at his wrist, and flick it. He yelps in pain and shouts. "Who's there?" Oh, he doesn't even realize the gravity of the situation, huh? I straighten my collar and stride out nonchalantly. Smiling deliberately, I boldly walk over and pull Amy behind me. "What are you doing here?" The gorgeous lady rolls her eyes, still captivating. "I came to pick up some pear blossom cream the boss brought back for me. I had nothing this afternoon, so I figured I'd come get it. Didn't expect to run into this." So, it seems this lump of fat got greedy. Though Peter has been piling on the studies, I've been working out. Not enough to be back in my prime, but enough to handle this boozed up slob. No words needed, I kick the guy away. "Elevating yourself by belittling others, just how dignified does that make you? Watch me kicking ass with my nunchucks, oh yeah." Finished with him, I brush off my hands, planning to leave elegantly. Suddenly, a gust of wind wraps me up, and Amy cheers. "Babe, you're so handsome." Moving like Christina flying in the air. "Lady, did you forget how we were at each other's throats recently? And what sounds like swoosh when Christina flies?" After learning that Peter and I were dining here, Amy insisted on joining us back in the room. The boss is treating us, so why not get a feast? She hooked her arm around mine, buzzing with excitement. Something feels off, though. Until I see her standing on the sofa, stepping on the table, yelling with a glass raised high. Why doesn't that blockhead get jealous? He was such a jealous nut back in school. Peter took the chopsticks from my hand and said, "Hey, don't eat the dirty stuff. If you're still hungry, we'll get Auntie to make something when we get home." Peter calmly gestured for the plates to be removed and, after wiping his mouth, responded slowly. Maybe he is jealous but just doesn't show it. Amy blinked, then slumped onto the sofa. Suddenly, she sat up, eyes sparkling at Peter. "Boss, why don't you propose to me in front of him? You're not planning on dating anyway." Peter replied seriously. "That's not gonna happen. Plus, can't play along with your dramas anymore. You two really ought to talk openly instead of all these shenanigans." Amy froze. "You're in a relationship?" Peter nodded. "Chasing someone now." I tried to sink deeper into the couch seams. "Now I get it, they're not a thing." Amy, suddenly all curious like a monkey in a melon patch, exclaimed, "Oh my, who's the girl? Spill the beans so I can use this to bait Jason. He's been avoiding me even more." Me. Today's info dump is off the charts. Peter showed no surprise, looking like, "Now if you want to talk about this, I'm wide awake." Auntie's niece. Amy was confused. "Auntie has relatives?" "I don't recall." Peter chuckled. "She's sitting right across you." Filled with embarrassment, a hot and red question mark popped over my head. I wasn't aware I became Auntie's person. Amy gasped. "Christina? But you picked her yourself." Realization hit. She blurted, "Oh, boy, you were plotting all along." Peter coolly explained. "Safer under Auntie's name, won't draw the uncle's attention." With burning ears, I jumped up. "Sorry, nature calls, excuse me." Peter looked amused as he watched me until my glare made him step aside laughingly. Meanwhile, Amy tauntingly declared that she would flaunt her relationship 365 degrees if she snagged Jason. I bolted away to the glass wall with the water curtain. Taking deep breaths and planning to sneak out, Amy's hesitant voice returned. "Boss, Jason and I at least grew up together, have some foundation, but Christina doesn't seem into you. Don't be a jerk and force her." I halted, a brief silence followed. Peter replied in a low voice. "What brings this on?" His voice, laced with amusement, made my eyebrow twitch. "Let her focus on school now. Later, send her out for experience. Broadened horizons mean she'll know what she truly wants." A deep sigh followed the youthful tone, showing depth and resignation. The decision was never mine. I looked up sharply, seeking his gaze through the water curtain. Peter was out of focus but seemed smiling. If she doesn't reciprocate, friends are good too. That kind of relationship is progress, at least. Watching quietly, I finally turned to leave without hesitation. Amy's gossip faded behind me. "All right, boss. Welcome to Unrequited Love Club." As I lay in bed, Peter's words kept resonating. "That guy's really into me. Damn, I'm impressive." Then, snapping awake at night and meeting those bright eyes made me think again, he was bluffing. I stared him down without expression, meeting his amused gaze. "What are you doing? Are you sick or something? Running into other people's beds in the middle of the night like a lunatic?" Peter's eyes were full of laughter. He spoke up, not with the best logic, but confidently. "I suddenly missed you. So I came to see you." My eyebrows twitched. "Did you just get here today?" He smiled warmly yet subtly. "It's been about 7 or 8 days. So that's since I came back, huh? What are you really here for?" "To give you a gift." I lifted the blanket and sat up, fully awake now. "You're seriously nuts, huh?" The last 3 words I swallowed back down. On the foot of my bed was a big cello case. I opened it and looked at the old cello. My eyes got a bit misty. "Peter, funny you should mention it. If I have any attachment to the orphanage, it's because of that one cello I went back for after Mike adopted me. But Mike ultimately tossed it out. Because when I couldn't even handle my responsibilities, I shouldn't have been indulging in hobbies. Of course, I can't completely blame Mike. I had my own aspirations. I didn't want to be treated like an ant, where anyone could determine my fate. So I took the stepping stone Mike gave me and willingly became his pawn. Peter's warm fingertips, like the first green of early summer, lit up the bleak midwinter. I secretly took the cello back then. Starlight sparkled, scattering light within his gaze. And for this lifetime, not a single person will make you throw it away again. The fingertips I wanted to reach out with turned stiff. I looked down, not meeting his gaze. Really? But I couldn't stop my mouth from curving up. Peter, why do you like me? Peter's fingertips traced my fingers, answering enigmatically. Could we go on a date? I blurted out without thinking. Point system contract. Peter looked momentarily confused. I ran to my desk and rummaged for some paper. Oh, a physics draft, clean on the back. Perfect. I scribbled, rewrote, and in no time jumped back to the bed. I slapped the paper on Peter's chest. No entering my bedroom without permission plus 20 points. No sudden physical contact plus 20 points. No misunderstandable comments plus 20 points. When you reach 1,000 cumulative points, you can trade them in for a date. For Peter, since I didn't outright reject him, it doesn't make me seem unkind. Plus, I'm offering a chance. Whether he grabs it depends on him. And if he behaves, it spares me those toe-curling awkward moments. I'm a genius. Peter sat cross-legged on the bed, obediently raising his hand. Can I buy points with money? I'll take you on. I glared. No way. He sounded wistful, but his expression remained smiling. What a pity. I composed myself and handed him the paper. Stamp it. It's true, craziness can be contagious. I trailed after Peter to his study. He pulled out a stamp, grinning like an unashamed flower. I should use a personal stamp. I waved indifferently. Whatever you want, as long as you stamp one. At my words, Peter seemed to ponder. Whatever I want? All right, then. Then, he stamped it all, his personal, official, writing, even the revision stamps I used for marking homework. Dude, what do you do for a living? I stopped Peter. That's enough. You're acting like you're drunk. Peter looked at me quietly. Dressed in white pajamas, hair falling softly, his eyes were bright and clear. Honestly, no one escapes a 20-year-old Peter when he plays nice. I closed my eyes, resignedly grabbing a nearby ink pad. Add your fingerprint too. That smile, it was dazzling. I couldn't bear to look. Peter placed the paper in a safe. Your birthday's the 21st next month, right? I didn't remember wrong, did I? Me. What are you up to? His eyes held a shine within their gentleness. Thinking about what gift would earn points. Sleepiness washed over me, and I yawned. Figure it out yourself. I'm going to bed. Reaching the study door, I pointed at him. Follow me, and you'll lose 1,000 points. I left Peter to think on his own. And he really dared to dream big. He organized me a birthday feast. Invited elites and celebrities from the H-star system. The whole event was glamorous, costing a fortune. I glanced over at Peter and the people beside him. Some things, you can't avoid. Peter's uncle, Mike, and his aunt and her aunt. Their family connections were a little tangled. His aunt was a found illegitimate kid who hadn't changed her last name back. While I was daydreaming, someone came over. Christina, you're ready. We can start anytime. No more mood for gossiping. I bent down to tune the cello. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our birthday star to perform Bach's 6 cello suites, the first 3. Yep, that rascal arranged this performance for me. I suspect deliberately to make me play in front of Mike. But regardless, seeing Mike pretending to listen attentively despite not understanding a thing was pretty satisfying. After about an hour, when I'd had enough playing, I couldn't find Peter, so I wandered to the balcony. The birthday hall was on the 3rd floor, and the wind blew strong. The fresh night breeze cooled the heat rising at the back of my neck. As I enjoyed the moment with my eyes closed, whispers and gasps came from the woods below. "Dare you to do it here? Aren't you afraid your wife will find out?" "Hush, it's not her business. Come here." "An affair?" I leaned over the rail for a better view. Was that Peter's Uncle Henry? The woman's face was shrouded in shadow. As I leaned out further, I noticed a hand with a lightly swinging wine glass on the 2nd floor balcony. Whoa, a fellow sneak snooper? Just as I was about to look more, an aunt's voice called behind. "Christina." I snapped back and turned around. The aunt smiled, handing me a note. "Come find me in the garden path." Peter's handwriting all over it. What's up with this mystery act? The aunt teased. This is what youth is about. My ears started feeling warm again. By the time I got to the 2nd floor, the raccoon on the balcony was gone. I kept moving, heading down the spiral staircase. As I turned and looked up, there was Peter's aunt, Wendy, on the gallery facing the lobby. Her arm rested on the railing, looking over the lobby with its golden lights and wine, a calm expression on her face. A casually placed wine glass, a black diamond dress hugging her curves tightly. Covered modestly from neck to legs. There was an intriguing contrast between her elegant and alluring aura. Having such a beautiful person at home, yet someone goes out for a fling. Wendy heard my footsteps but didn't turn around. For no reason, she explained to me that in his mind, loveless sex was just a normal pastime, a rite after socializing. Me, stop right there, lady. I'm just passing by. I'm not interested in hearing about the twisted love views of rich families. And wow, talk about being PUA'd to the extreme. I couldn't help myself from blurting out, "You should see a therapist." Sex isn't the only way to express love, but it can pass for it, wearing out real love, until it's something dirty spat out on the street. Clinging to that nastiness, doesn't it make you sick? Wendy casually shook her wine glass, saying she wasn't in a position to question his way of relaxing since she's a beneficiary. It hit me that she was someone who depended on her husband, with no career or opinions, just aiming to show off his status at parties with designer gowns and jewels. But her tone didn't sound like someone who'd just accept her fate. I remembered something about Peter's aunt being great at art, and when she passed, her paintings were showcased to great acclaim. If she wanted. Out of nowhere, I said, "I've seen your paintings, they're really nice." Of course, I don't get art, just aware of the reactions from others. Wendy raised an eyebrow, giving me a probing look. "When did you see my paintings?" I quickly responded, "From Peter." Wendy looked unimpressed but didn't question it further. I was curious about her reaction, but she reached up to touch her necklace, randomly saying, "This pearl necklace is worth 70 million. Well, looks like we're not on the same page. I'll head out then." The lobby doors were open wide. Path to the garden was brightly lit. Peter stood tall by the fence, looking elegant. He smiled, "Why just getting here now?" I shrugged, "Ran into your aunt, chatted a bit." He seemed thoughtful. "Is that so?" Probably puzzled how we ended up talking. But that didn't matter now. I looked at his hand holding my wrist. "Where are we headed?" Peter didn't answer, just led me behind the fence. We wove through a maze of lush greenery. This area was part of Peter's personal life zone. I'd never been here before in past lives. In the moonlit shadows, I openly watched Peter's back, letting my heartbeat race under rapid breaths. Until an opening ahead showed a warm orangey glow. I gathered myself. Laughter in Peter's voice, "Sending you flowers, they wilt too quickly." I couldn't tell if it was the light or the moon playing tricks. Roses bloomed intensely under the night sky, red like a sunset. Petals misted with dew, glistening like Peter's eyes, warm and genuine. "So I gave you a whole garden. I planted all these flowers myself." He wrapped me in his arms with care. Christina, happy birthday. I held my breath, whispering to myself. Could be the light or the moon, or the lens in my eye adding a filter to him. The tingle in my ear, unbearable. Warm breath on my neck. Christina, welcome home. For quite some time afterward, I was swept up in emotion. It resulted in poring over sets of exams under the lamp, tears in my eyes, before bed each night. In the long run, Peter grew more moved. Following the tutor's suggestion, he flew out to get more study guides. The car stopped at the turn. Crowds bustling along the road. I peeked around, why so lively? Peter glanced sideways, it's Valentine's Day. Oh, I see, makes sense then. I turned back, catching Peter resting his chin on the wheel, head tilted, looking adorably pitiful. He sighed, I wish I could celebrate Valentine's too. Voice all pouty, but eyes dancing with humor, playing cutely. I cleared my throat, a quick cough. Too bad, you don't have enough points. Short by 420, aren't ya? Peter let out a little whine. I got an idea. Change my name back. I'll give you 420 points. Peter let out a reluctant sigh. I'd love to, but I'm not gonna. Me, seriously, does that even make sense? He gave me this innocent look, TSK. Told John our father-daughter thing was just pretend, but changing my name to Christina, that he did for real, what a talent. I was fuming inside. Fine, don't change mine, but you can change yours. Why get myself out the way for no return? Ha. So you know Christina's not a great name. 500 points. Nope. You only want one date? Huh, gotcha there. 1,420. I blinked, what? Peter upped the ante, 1420. Oh, that ticked me off. You little punk, think this is a buy one get one free deal? 600. Peter stayed firm, 1420. 700. 1,420. The next intersection was a bookstore. Man, alright, 1420. I urged Peter to change the route, keep us away from the bookstore. We need to hit John's office, quick, quick. Otherwise, we might miss him before he leaves. At the office entrance. Peter's got that half smirk on his face. I grin back at him. Christina and Dagon, they seem just right, don't they? A family should be together, after all. Peter looks at me with resignation. He's like, what can I do? And just leads me toward the park nearby. Trying to tease me, he goes. Look, they're all holding hands over there. I pause for a moment before grabbing his hand knowingly. We pass by a drink stand. The vendor's got a little setup with tables and chairs. Couples chilling there, sipping drinks together. Peter's eyes flash with envy. See them sharing a drink? I give in and join the line for a drink. Right by the fountain, he starts again. Look, they're kissing. I can't take it anymore and point toward some bushes. Look at that dog eating. You know. Want some of that? Heading back. Peter steers the wheel with one hand. His expression soft, a mild smile playing at his lips. I lean against the window, feeling like crying. Papers stacked high everywhere. First date, officially over. Peter isn't bothered though. 'Cause there's another one coming. Next morning. He packs me into his flying machine. Off to Star C for a day. Still in my pajamas, I'm like. What the? Amy peeks from the front seat. Why aren't you dressed up? Isn't it a date for two? I stare at Jason's head. You've fallen hard, huh? He keeps his eyes on the road, ears turning red. Peter's seaside villa is his secret base. Not many know about it, nor does he have it regularly maintained. So when we arrive, there's no putting on swimwear or romantic walks by the sea. Peter and Jason busy themselves with some stubborn wooden shutters. Amy's off dusting the couch. Holding a duster, I say. Is this supposed to be a mansion? Peter looks a bit awkward. Don't come often. 4 of us hustle for 2 hours. Cleaned cups in the kitchen. We pour apple juice. Sitting on the veranda, ocean breeze in our faces. Sand soft, waves churning ahead. Behind us, the broken shutters creak. Amy can't sit still, pulls Jason to the water. Peter shows me his fist. Got a wishing charm from Jason. Opens his hand, revealing a red triangle charm. They got it when they went to the temple. I chuckle. You believe in that stuff? Peter smiles. Don't you? Nope, I trust myself more. Peter isn't upset. Can I make a wish to you then? I pause, surprised. He moves closer. Can I? Why is he giving me that look? I turn away, grumbling. Nothing too crazy. Peter glances down, speaking softly. I wish you'd kiss me. What? He looks up. My wish. His eyes shining, wants that kiss. I push his face away. Saying it ruins it, you know. A wet kiss lands on my palm. His voice hoarse, gaze intense. But I have to tell you. I nervously swallow. Peter, noticing, chuckles deeply. I grab his shirt defiantly. What's so funny? Get over here. The universe is like a watercolor goldfish, blowing bubbles as we catch our breath, isolating us from the world. Moments later, I look straight into Peter's eyes. How's that feel? His laughter is like waves around his eyes. He leans in again, whispering. Want me to go through a test paper? I'll mark it later. I snap my eyes open. What? His thumb brushing my lips. How's math? Not enough? Want the science paper too? I explode. You're asking for it. Peter runs off laughing. I chase, jumping on his back. His big warm hands hold my thighs as he charges into the waves. Amy pulls Jason along excitedly. I want to play too. Jason kneels for her, wearing an unnoticed smile of affection. The couple championship begins. Charge, knock them into the sea. I tap Peter's face, signaling Amy with a no entry gesture. Oh no. I brush my wet bangs aside. Peter, charge. Go, go, go. Babe, just pull the hair, not my scalp, okay? Playing on the beach. Unaware of an impending threat creeping along our sandy footprints. A virus spread. On our way home the next day. Driving a few minutes. Suddenly a truck barrels out from the trees, headed straight for us. Its mudguard scrapes our bumper, screeching metal. Peter grabs a gun, half leaning out the window. Shatters the enemy's window with the gun butt, ready to fire. A masked figure emerges behind, jabs Peter in the neck with a syringe. Car skids off-road, the world twists and flips. When I come to, not sure how long it's been. Amy and I still in the car. Jason lies by the lake 50 meters away, hands bloody. Peter is nowhere to be found. Amy and I are okay. Ambulance arrives, she goes with Jason. I head to Peter's company. Suspecting Mike's behind the truck attack. I mean, in his past life, he wouldn't stop whispering in my ear about taking down Peter, becoming the chairman, and reaching the top of his life. So, I rushed with my crew and just got to the company entrance when John called from the big house. Mike's dead. At the same time, the BEI Star Court issued an arrest warrant for Peter. A pen slipped from my fingers, hitting the ground with a clang. What's the cause of death? Killed by a golf club. No fingerprints checked. They just came in. They belong to the boss. I yelled. Are you kidding me? What kind of person gets in a car crash, walks 5 kilometers with a head wound, without drawing any attention, and still has the energy to kill a man who has nothing to do with anything? John was helpless. Still, fingerprints were evidence. The forensic expert really did find the boss's DNA on the murder weapon. At this critical moment when all evidence pointed to him, he just vanished. The interstellar prosecutor thinks the boss ran to avoid punishment. Give me the prosecutor's contact. I need to have a word. Forget it, rescue one, and another one gets in trouble. I can't keep up with this. Why do you even get paid so much? What are you good for? Just then, another call came through. I answered, and could hear sobbing from the other side. Amy was nervously repeating. Christina, what do we do? The rest was buried in her sobbing, choppy and unclear. I tried to stay calm and not let the sadness in her voice affect me. Amy, don't cry. Tell me what's wrong. Jason. What about Jason? The doctor says Jason needs an amputation. My eyebrows twitched, and I gasped in shock. Amy kept talking through her tears. His whole left leg and right forearm. And some other areas. Christina, how did it end up like this? I gestured, and the guard understood, leading people out to find clues about the whole thing. I said into the phone. I'm on my way. At the hospital hallway, Amy was squatting at the ICU entrance. There was a chicken coop by the upper part of the lake. On the way, I found out, the coop owner's been secretly burying the chicken farm waste near the lake for convenience over time, and the lake water got polluted. Amy hunched, head buried deep between her knees. Her shoulder blades sticking out, she looked like a dying, struggling Amy. The wound had been in contact with the polluted water for a long time. Toxins spread into his bloodstream, causing multiple organ failure. I held her shoulder. Amy looked at me. Her eyes were glazed, on the brink of breaking down. I tightened my grip. Focus, look at me. The pain snapped her back, and I cupped her face. Listen to me, someone's messing with us. Peter took the fall, Jason got dragged in, and now it's just us left. I locked eyes with her. We need to pull ourselves together. Save Peter, avenge Jason. Amy dazedly repeated. Save, avenge? Yes. I nodded firmly. Save, avenge. Amy, hang in there. We need you. Her unfocused eyes became clear. Embers smoldered into flames. She wiped her tears and held my hand tight. We need to find the culprit. In the days that followed, Amy got herself together to care for Jason and used her network to dig for leads. I traveled with Peter's loyal crew, taking care of company paperwork during car rides, and occasionally hopping on video or voice calls for meetings. Finally, on the 9th day, we tracked down the masked guy who injected something into Peter's neck from the truck. We chased him to an abandoned factory in a remote part of the BEI star. I rushed into the factory first and fought with him. After a few moves, I found an opening and removed his mask. I'd never seen that face before. I asked. Who sent you? He stayed silent, pulling a gun on me. I grabbed his gun hand, hitting his elbow, pushing the gun out, and smashing the butt into his face. He kicked me in the gut, freeing himself. Suddenly, he glanced behind me. Then, with a relieved smile, he shoved the gun in his mouth, and just like that, bang, right at my feet. Too late, I turned to see what he'd looked at, an old clock. He was watching the time. Why check the time? Why go through all this trouble hiding out? Why choose to die despite having equal footing in the fight? Unless he was creating a distraction to buy time for someone else to escape. The guy in front of me was dead, without enough proof, and if whoever he covered for got away, the evidence chain would be broken. Rage mixed with unprecedented agitation boiled inside me. My eyes widened in fury as I shouted at the crew. Lock down the H systems, land, water, and airlines. Hurry. Dark clouds loomed as gray fog swirled. My guards finally got a lead. We intercepted a freight ship intent on sailing out. In the cargo hold, we found Wendy. Peter's aunt? She seemed normal last time we met. We also found out her husband, Henry, had died a week ago. I froze. What? Dead? Yes, buried in the backyard, with a large bloodstain in the master bedroom. This plot twist is straight up insane. I paused, directing them. Keep digging, find everything on Wendy. By the time I got to the port, Wendy was already in custody. Boss, the suspect refuses to reveal the gentleman's location. The cops are on their way, but I can't wait that long. I gripped Wendy's chin, revealing what I'd found in the car. Lucy. Wendy's pupils shrank. I chuckled. Seems you remember that name. So I guess you also remember Nolan and Lily, right? Wendy lost her indifferent look, becoming frantic, even reaching out to scratch my hand. I pulled back, stepping away, smirking. Haven't seen your adoptive parents in a while, huh? I make my threat clear as day. They're in my grip now. Want to see them alive again? The salty sea air hits with a punch of diesel from the cargo ships. It's making me queasy. Finally, Wendy hangs her head. 11 Fu Xing K District 019. I don't hesitate a bit and start walking back to the car. Behind me, Wendy's yelling. Kill me. Go on, shoot. Originally, I only meant to take Peter with me. You three ended up dying in the car. But that guy, Jason, he woke up and got in my way, trying to save Peter and protect you all. He stalled me for so long. Even though you didn't die, he's definitely not in great shape. How's he doing now? Is he still alive? Don't you want to avenge your friend? I clenched my fists, then let go, leaning against the car door and looking back. No way am I giving you an easy way out like that. You created this huge mess. The law's gonna need some answers from you. The sound of police sirens comes from afar. The once tumultuous waves have calmed. A few seagulls circle over some part of the ocean. I get in the car, and we drive out of the port. Right when Bay Star Court canceled Peter's detention order, I had already jumped twice, finding the spot Wendy mentioned. A dim, damp basement. Roaches crawling on the walls. Peter, in dirty casual clothes, was slumped against a wall. The guard hunched over, nervously rubbing his hands. Miss told me to give him 2 muscle relaxant shots a day, morning and night. This here's just what happens when they're fresh. The guard shuts up immediately. I gave the bodyguard a nod, and they took the guy away, to bring him back to BEI Star as a witness. I stepped forward softly. As if sensing me, he tilted his head, then again, and finally looked up. The moment our gazes met, a faint smile crept at his lips, his voice soft and almost a whisper. You here to take me home? My throat felt dry as I answered. Yeah. Peter's abdominal wound had only basic treatment. When I lifted the bandages, it was already starting to fester in places. He was stuck in Calvin's private hospital since admission, never leaving the ICU. The day before the trial, I requested a visit. Seeing Wendy again, I cut to the chase. When did you come back? She just sort of nodded. The night I talked to you. Me. What? I had this really long dream. The absurdity of it almost left me speechless. So, everyone's suffering stems from me meddling? Wendy laughed with disdain. That's the Amy effect, one pull and it all unravels. You and Peter, your whirlpools, eventually dragging those around you in. Her attitude of blaming everything on us was laughable to me. I stared at her, wanting a fresh start after being reborn isn't bad at all. But if your new beginning comes off the backs of innocence, that's just selfish. You want to live, but so do others. Something about that got to her. Wendy slammed the table, getting a warning from surveillance. Why do I have to go through this? Why am I treated this way? Am I not worthy of living? I frowned at her teary eyes, taken aback. What's she going on about? Her husband cheating? I can't understand it. Don't give me that sob story. Have you tried changing things? No, right? Divorce is too hard. Separation's not a choice. Don't get the law, can't seek help. If nothing else, you could try talking to Peter. Wendy leaned back in her chair, staring up at the visitation room lights. He wouldn't care, she said sadly. When he asked for my help back then, I turned him away. Peter's mom abused him. I noticed her guilt, incredulous. Yet, even with that guilt, you're framing him? Wendy chuckled. Her eyes bloodshot. The grin didn't reach her eyes, just pure malice. Man, if you don't look out for yourself, the universe will stomp you. I quickly stood up, ending the visit early. At the door, Wendy suddenly called out. I paused but didn't turn around. Life's like a puzzle, she said. You can jumble the pieces around, but their places are fixed. If you want a different picture, you gotta take someone else's spot. I couldn't help but look back at her. Tears streaked her face, an unhinged smile. Veins bulging at her temples, yet in her eyes, a raw pity. Christina, neither of us is innocent. The interstellar court trial only took 2 days. Wendy was sentenced to death by the Bay Star Court for murder, assault, illegal confinement, and drug use, among other charges. They also dropped the detention order for Peter. The night we transferred the convict, she was brought to this abandoned building I prepped a week earlier. Amy, in a transparent raincoat, wordlessly took the sleeping person. I gave her a look, but she kept staring daggers at Wendy. The door creaked shut with a heavy sound. A deep, low voice pierced through. Just like slaughtering chickens. We gotta deal with some muscle and fiber tissue. Don't worry, I'll make sure you feel the pain. It didn't even sound like Amy anymore. I hesitated, biting my lip hard, but eventually turned back. Amy. I pushed the door open. I placed a recorder on the operating table. It contained parts of the trial. Amy hadn't attended. Maybe this would interest you beforehand. Somewhere in the stairwell, I was sitting on the last steps, smoking. The recorder held Henry's testimony of Wendy's crimes. The victims suffered domestic abuse for 9 years from the perpetrator. Their private doc never reported it, yet kept detailed records and prescriptions locked away. Handwritten reports filled 37 pages, subcutaneous bruising, multiple rib fractures, malformed tailbone, and internal organ compression injuries. Also, according to her personal doctor, Wendy had to be resuscitated 7 times and was given critical condition notices 3 times at the clinic. I'm not expecting Amy to just release the person. I just hope she would choose a way that doesn't involve torturing someone. That way, she won't get in too deep. Hopefully, she won't end up like I did in my past life. I have no idea how much time has passed. Heavy footsteps echoed from above in the hallway. Amy came down, covered in the smell of blood. She rasped. Give me one too. I reminded her. You need to protect your voice. You're a singer, after all. She paused. Today's an exception. The automatic light switch clicked. The whole stairwell plunged into darkness. Couldn't see a thing. 2 red dots glowed dimly. I frowned, shouting. Hello? Hello? Power's out? I just paid the electric bill for this abandoned building a few days ago. Amy exhaled slowly, her voice heavy, emotionless. The power system's always been unstable here. I cursed. Damn light. Not sure what struck Amy, but she burst into laughter, gasping for breath. Yes. Damn light. Life's like this light. A pile of crap. Her mood got to me. I shouted instinctively. Exams are crap too. She raised her cigarette, cheering. I love crap. The cigarette burned, circling into ash, disappearing on the ground. 5 days later, Jason's fever broke. A bit later in the afternoon, he saw himself through Amy's eyes. He moved his lips, forming silent words. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm back. The night set in, stars hanging over the wilderness. After learning about Jason's situation, we got the doctor to move him to a private room. Amy didn't want to go home, so I arranged for an extra folding bed in the room. Later, I handled documents from Peter's assistant in the meeting room provided by the hospital. During that time, a message came from the C-section nurses' station. "Sir is awake." I wanted to drop everything and rush over, but people at the company were waiting, so I had to finish reading the files, then stamp Peter's private seal. By the time I got to Peter's room, it was already midnight. The corridor was lit by only wall lights, casting a cold, hard white glow. Peter had already fallen asleep, exhausted. The room was silent but flickering with light. I held my breath as I approached. On a wall screen, a homemade silent video played. The camera wobbled, showing the last beach outing. From soft gray sand to frothy white waves. From Jason carrying Amy into the sea. Ending on me. Digging holes with my toes. Gazing at the horizon. Turning to reach toward the camera. I was saying something, my mouth moving silently. But I couldn't hear it. The video was mute. During the rainy season, the weather turned damp. Jason's scars began to ache. Amy was sharp, she got in touch with Calvin when Jason couldn't hide his discomfort the second time. 7 hours after admission, the machines in his room beeped a warning. Calvin said Jason's condition worsened, he needed further amputation. After the surgery, I begged Amy and Jason to stay at the mansion. Initially, we hired a nurse, and Calvin would check on Jason every 3 days. But Amy couldn't stand the nurse's weird looks at Jason, so she let the nurse go and took care of him herself. At 1 a.m., I returned to the mansion, piloting the aircraft home. The housekeeper, hearing the noise, came out in her coat. She lit the stove in the kitchen and reheated the afternoon soup. Just as I picked up the bowl, she muttered softly. "The young man swore again today." I focused. Swore? Jason cursed Amy? It sounded unbelievable. She stared at the pot. No, he cursed himself. Her eyes were hidden in the cabinet's shadow. No matter how he seemed composed, when the pain hit, the truth came out. I went to Amy and Jason's room door. I knocked softly. "Amy? Amy, are you asleep?" After a moment, there was shuffling noise inside. Amy's voice came through the thick door. "Let's talk next time, Christina." It was muffled, emotionless. "We're tired." Indeed, I was tired and sleepy too. Ever since the incident at the main house, some people at the company started to have second thoughts. I've been handling the affairs and dealing with these people. I even have to join a video meeting in the study to handle work before I can sleep. I put my hand on the door. "See you tomorrow?" The person inside was silent for a moment, then slowly replied. "See you tomorrow." In the dead of night, a gunshot woke everyone in the mansion. I jumped up from the desk in the study. My arms and legs were numb, heart pounding. It was 3:30 a.m. Police sirens reached the mansion. Calvin rushed over from the coroner's office. He pinched the bridge of his nose, looking worn. Amy first gave Jason a sleep aid. After he fell asleep, she moved him to the bathroom. I dazedly stared at the glowing marble tiles, secretly clutching a note from Amy. "Christina, sorry for messing up the bathroom." They found Amy lying face up in the tub, Jason sprawled over her. Ignoring Jason's swollen face and the blood on the walls, their pose looked like a loving couple embracing in the tub, whispering sweet nothings. Calvin returned after a call, with the results. The autopsy showed Jason drowned. Amy waited 2 hours after that to end her life with a gun. What was she doing during that time? Holding her deceased lover, reminiscing, or dreaming about another possible future? Or maybe, just did nothing and spaced out, then in those moments of coming back to reality, raised the gun. Calvin rubbed his face, voice lowering. She had a 6.35 mm round bullet hole in her rear skull, barely half a centimeter wide. The note's handwriting got smudged by sweat-soaked fingerprints. I hurriedly wiped it with my clothes, but the blurred words were still unreadable. I pulled back my hand, throat dry and tight. Yeah. That was the latest model handgun Jason gave her for protection. It started drizzling again outside. Sleep was out of the question, so I just went to the hospital. Unlike before, Peter was awake. He leaned against the headboard, gazing out the window. Hearing footsteps, he turned back and locked eyes with me. I paused, slowly approached. Can you tell me about their fate in the past life? Peter's voice was rough. Last life, the company transitioned. I had Jason go to a branch office as CEO. He made some achievements there. What about Amy? Before that, Amy accepted a proposal from a businessman from Galaxy F, left and never returned. The conversation stopped, and the room plunged into silence, only the rain outside getting louder. Raindrops hit the window, falling like broken lines, almost predestined. I sighed quietly in the gaps of those lines. But they are alive. Not together, but at least living well. Peter gave no opinion, just said, yeah, they're still alive. Another bout of sudden silence. My hands clenched into fists on my legs. Is it because of us? I finally asked what weighed on my heart. Because we got reborn, did we change their lives? In the past life, Peter and I weren't together. Is it wrong to mess with the existing storyline? If I keep on with Peter like this, will it drag in other innocent people? I took a deep breath. Maybe we should give up. Peter watched me silently. Then he turned again to look out the window. My mother. She was schizophrenic. I frowned. Peter gave a soothing smile. But no one noticed she was off then. I just thought it was my fault every time she snapped, which made her angry. His tone steady. The last time, I had a high fever, cried and fussed. She lost patience, pulled my hair, and slammed my head twice. An aunt found out, and after that, I never saw her again. I heard she was sent to a mountainside sanatorium overseas by my father. The rain drummed on my eardrums, hurting my heart. Peter's face stayed composed. Later I heard she might have gotten better, wrote lots of letters to me through her trustee. I never read one. I neither hate nor love her. But I can't forget her. Peter looked up, finally turning to me. You asked why I loved you. Before you even knew me, I liked you. He smiled sadly, eyes both longing and pleading. I won't do it, Christina. I can't leave you. I started to study hard. Peter didn't need to push me anymore. I wanted to cram every bit of knowledge into my head. Made it to a PhD, then worked at the institute Peter started. The orphanage I was in became a new school, with the institute beside it, sharing its name. Because of our history, Peter and I always believed that souls can be reborn in other parallel worlds through energy fluctuations. Focusing on space-time overlap and transformation, my team and I spent 8 years creating a machine to balance the energy of parallel worlds. But we couldn't find an energy source to power it. A sudden incident, a mouse electrocuted dead in the lab, made everyone realize. The energy is the souls of living beings. Higher energy means less darkness across parallel worlds. It's like a magnetic field or an atmospheric pheromone, pushing people to live with maximum kindness. Since effects can't be avoided, we'll do our best to turn them into positive changes. I scribbled on a whiteboard. Peter listened from his swivel chair. The machine needs life energy, essentially sacrificing the soul into life data. A normal person's energy is set, fluctuating but low. But a deceased soul, unstable, can ignite massive energy to power the machine. I put down the pen, keeping my excitement and slight sadness in check. Peter, I have to go. I need to offer my soul to the machine. Peter was calm. He nodded, I know. He came to me, cupped my face. With you, anywhere is a journey. A month later, with everything settled, Peter and I stood at the entrance of the machine. My lab-coated assistant handed over the institute's control, tablet in hand, checking data. At first, you'll disperse into life data, then gradually shift to another state, becoming dark matter to impact the magnetic field. Peter cocked his head. No body? The assistant was earnest. We'll keep you in human form and conscious for 3 hours a day, limited to one place. But technically. My assistant glanced at me. I smiled encouragingly. She concentrated and continued. After evolving to the second form, your energy will disperse through original lines of parallel worlds, moving the field forward positively. But you will truly vanish, the machine ceasing operation. I took a deep breath. Peter held my hand. He gently tapped my finger bone. So, see you soon. The end. Bonus, love at first sight. A summer night with a sparse moon. Christina, in a tailor-made slit dress, burst into the woods. Geez, scared the hell out of me. Who are you? Playing ghost here. There's someone sitting on the ground, leaning against a tree trunk in the grass. The person has a slim waist and broad shoulders, his tall figure wrapped snugly in a suit. The only thing off was the creepy white bandages covering his face. Hey. Christina moved closer. You alright? Nice spot you picked. It's hidden and cool. Good eye. Are you hiding from someone too, like me? It's polite to say something, you know. Christina scratched her chin. Could it be you're mute? She noted the look of pity slowly appearing in his eyes. Peter couldn't hold back. Shut up. Whoa, you can talk. The pity vanished, replaced by open teasing. Peter realized she was messing with him and turned away, not amused. Footsteps sounded outside the woods, but they quickly moved on. Christina saw the person who had been trying to chat her up at the party was finally gone, so she relaxed. Her eyes wandered back to the bandages. Hey man, we're just sitting here. Wanna chat? Those bandages, did you get into a fight? Looks badass. Not a fight. Burn scars from cigarettes. Peter explained. Just had the last surgery to fix them. Holy crap, who did that to you? Christina shifted to sit beside Peter. She raised a fist. Wanted me to get revenge? I'm good at fighting. Peter. My mother. Christina tucked her fist behind her. Want me to call the cops? No need, she died yesterday. And you? My dad wants me at her funeral. He's putting me on a plane after the dinner. I don't want to go. Peter bit his lip, frustration oozing off him. I snuck out when no one was looking. It was stifling in the woods, a thin layer of sweat forming on Christina's neck. Pfft, if you don't want to go, then don't. You're not dying here over it. What, is he gonna drag you there? She stood, adjusting her dress. And really, can't you just run away? I hate it here too. These clothes are awful, can't move right in them. It is super hot out here, and staying ain't solving anything. Christina glanced around, then tore a matching slit on the other side of her skirt. She tied the fabric in a knot, turning the dress into more of a work outfit for the fields. Peter watched, baffled. Seeing his unspoken curiosity, Christina grinned, flashing him a toothy smile. What's your name? Never mind. Heroes don't ask questions. She stepped back. Once clear enough, she charged off towards the wall, vaulted over using the wall as a step. Her movements were fluid as she perched on the wall's edge. Peter watched her silhouette, feeling like he saw fire, saw wild grass, saw a fierce, unyielding spirit. He stared, mesmerized, fingers twitching. Until Christina looked back down at him. She reached out, her smile brighter than the moon. Hey. She beamed. Coming with? I'll get you a cold beer. Falling for someone can be instant. Staying in love, that's the real arrow to the heart. Peter wouldn't tell Christina. He'd love her till the end. Just like she died in front of him. Just like when he buried himself with her. In loving her, he's serious, wildly so. Epilogue: Amy and Jason. Before all this, back when they were in school, they were neighbors. Every day, they walked to school together, hung out with their own friends there, and then walked home together again. At their front doors, they'd nod and split. Amy always rushed to her room, changed, greeted her folks, then grabbed her homework and dashed back out. Before knocking on Jason's door, she'd make sure her breathing was steady. She'd wait for a member of his family to let her in, his brother, grandma, or mom if she worked late. Jason never answered the door himself. Yet, as she chatted with his family, he'd nonchalantly appear by the porch. "Aren't we supposed to be studying?" They shared a desk. She at one end, him at the other. Amy liked mixing up their stationery, cluttering the desk. Made her feel like they shared something special. Jason had a knack for getting lost in his work, naturally tuning out noise. His classmates and friends were aware of this quirk. But even after 14 years, Amy wasn't. Because when they were together, conversation never stopped. Fast forward. Street corner, a flower shop. Jason lifted a bucket of roses from a truck. "Hey, you." Jason turned, uncertain. His eyes met the girl's. She was striking, wearing a dress he'd seen in the same fashion magazines brought by student workers at the shop. New spring collection. A black Rolls-Royce parked nearby, she'd stepped out of it. Since when did he know someone like that? Searching his memory, he finally asked politely. "Ma'am, talking to me?" She hurried over in heels. "Yes, you. What's your name?" He glanced at the two suited bodyguards by the car and replied honestly. "Jason." Her eyes lit up, so intensely he had to look away. Something told him to hide his dirt-streaked hands behind his back. His ears warmed as she spoke again, her voice like bells. "Want to be my personal bodyguard?" Jason was stunned. Her face was earnest, her eyes a tad worried. "You'll get benefits, room, and board," she offered. Jason sensed her fear of rejection. By him. But why? Today was their first meeting. Going with the flow, he asked. "Details?" She readily listed, a company car, year-end bonuses, flexible hours. Their spot was in relentless sunlight. Jason felt sweat gathering on his back. He shook his head. That wasn't it. The girl looked puzzled, and he was dead serious. "What do you mean by room and board?" The girl stammered. "Eat with me and live next door to me." Their conversation awkwardly started and then just as awkwardly fell into silence. The girl fiddled with her fingers, as if waiting for him to say something, or maybe just stuck. Jason remembered the flowers that arrived today still needed arranging, the store's electric bill was due soon, and he had planned to clock out early to catch a movie. Then, he'd take a stroll by the river on his way home. Before bed, he'd have a glass of beer he put in the freezer this morning. He had already jotted down his plans for the day. He really should have said no. After all, they barely knew each other. But when the words came out, his voice was firm. Even he couldn't deny the hint of eagerness in it. "All right," he said. They stared at each other again, silently. Truly, strange and stubborn. "Take me with you," she said. The breeze swept away a bit of the heat. In her eyes, he heard his heartbeat. It was like the sound of icebergs collapsing, glaciers thawing. Later, in the car, he found out the girl's name. Those two words lingered on his tongue. When it was late and quiet, and he was hiding under the covers, he couldn't stop muttering them. Amy. Amy. Epilogue 3, Wendy. Time will heal it. The cramped study room was cold. Sweat-soaked chill raced up her spine and formed an unseen icicle, piercing through to her heart. When Wendy took off her sunglasses in front of her brother, she hadn't expected things to be like this. Her left eye was bruised, bloodshot streaked the white of her eye, and bruises marked her forehead and lips. Her brother easily brushed off the horrifying truth behind these injuries with just a few words. We can get the best doctors. No scars, everything as good as new. She felt cold, forgetting why she came here in the first place. At the door, her brother called her again. She paused, glancing at the golf club by the door and then at the man behind the desk. The man spoke righteously. "Wendy, don't be so sensitive." His superior attitude and indifference frayed her nerves. Her temple throbbed. Her eyes landed on the golf club. Now she remembered why she came here. 2 hours ago, she killed her husband. A man who beat her for 9 years, came home last night, attacked her, made her sleep in the doghouse, then forced her into bed. Afterward, she sat in the bathroom, bandaging her wounds. She stood up, washed the blood off her hands until the skin turned red. She took a secret glance at herself in the mirror. Their relationship lasted 18 years. They met in college at 17, married at 21, and on September 13th, when she was 26, he would kiss her before leaving. The first 9 years were like a dream. When he returned home with alcohol on his breath, everything changed. She lived in hell, surviving each day, until today marked another 9 years. She couldn't endure it anymore. She took out a gun, hidden behind the toilet. Put a stop to another 9 years. And now, in her brother's study, she felt the sting of hot water on her hands again. She looked at the person with their back to her. Raised the golf club. "Lucy. Lucy?" Wendy snapped back to reality. She realized she was trapped in a body. The person in front of her asked, "You still want 3 sweet potatoes?" She heard her body respond. "Yeah, still 3." She was 16, living with her adoptive parents. Her adoptive father worked at a car insurance agency. Her adoptive mother was a school administrator who sometimes taught math. Her high school was close to her dad's office. After school, she'd buy 3 roasted sweet potatoes, tuck them in her pocket, then head to her dad's office. They'd eat by the trash before he called her mom using the office landline. The biggest one was usually left. She kept it close to her. She did homework on the coffee table, resting on the sofa when tired, lulled by the sound of her dad making deals. That's when she'd fall asleep. When she woke, it'd be her dad's time to leave. By then, a thin blanket had been laid over her, and the last sweet potato was gone. Her foggy mind cleared instantly. When her dad came back from the file warehouse, he'd find her reaching between sofa cushions. "There's a mouse?" he'd ask. Without looking up, she'd answer. "Sweet potato rolled in there." Her dad would laugh. Feigning annoyance, she would see him pull something from his pocket. A sweet potato, wrapped neatly in newspaper. With a wink, he'd say, "Still warm." And just like that, the memory replayed before her eyes. Wendy heard herself, at 16, laughing out loud. The car stopped at the school gate. The person didn't move to the passenger seat. Instead, opened the back. Her mom's gentle face appeared through the mist. Wendy hurried over, grabbed her hand, upset. "I bought you gloves. Why aren't you wearing them?" Her mom held her hand casually and intimately. "When it gets a little colder, I'll wear them." She'd saved up working at a diner on weekends to buy them. Cheap, but her mom treasured them, keeping the plastic wrap in a drawer. "Going to Grandpa's farm again this weekend?" Her dad took out the sweet potato. She took it, peeled, and offered it to her mom. "What do you think?" her mom asked. "Do you want to go? If not, how about the D-Star resort you mentioned?" She grew up on a farm. Her mom worried she'd get tired of it. But the truth? Wendy never did. The accident happened on the farm that afternoon. New boards were stacked by the barn doors. Her grandpa planned to replace the old roof before winter. Her dad offered to help. The air was crisp and fresh, smelled of green grass. 15. Wendy started screaming. But nobody heard, not even her 16-year-old self. The old wood suddenly collapsed, and her foster dad fell through. Splintered wood, one piece pierced his eye, another in his head. Life's patterns repeating, and she's helpless. Her foster dad was seriously injured, surgery costs were unaffordable. The small town didn't have advanced medical facilities. Her biological parents came looking. "We can pay for the surgery, but you need to sign this paper." It was a letter of disownment. Wendy was born out of wedlock, abandoned at birth. She had a brother and a sister back home. But her brother was selfish, and her sister was unstable. Otherwise, they wouldn't try to marry her off for business connections. "This is the man who will be your fiancé." They handed over some documents. Henry. In the picture, he was wearing a polo outfit. Tall, handsome, with gentle eyes. Always pretending. Back then, he was crazy about polo. Played aggressively, often got hurt. One time he was injured and ended up in the hospital, even had knee surgery. When he woke, she begged him in tears to give up his only passion. That year they were still in tune with each other. He didn't hesitate to agree. Then, he drank too much. That became his excuse to lash out. Maybe only when the gun's sight pressed against his teeth. Would he admit his mistakes? But he wouldn't repent, his violence would return like an avalanche. The sunlight cast moving shadows on the ground. Wendy suddenly let out a deep breath. Sound, temperature, the feel of everything. All came back. She wasn't just a spectator trapped inside a body. She felt real again. Wendy took the paper but said, "I don't want to." When she got home, it was already evening. While she was out meeting her father's assistant, someone had come to talk to her foster mom. In her past life, she stood outside the door listening to her foster mom cry all night. By dawn, when her foster mom was too exhausted and fell asleep, she dragged her cold, stiff body back to her room to pack. She signed the paper and left it on the dining table. But this time was different. She stood outside the door again. "I'm Lucy. I'm not Wendy. Not now, not ever." She gripped the doorknob and walked in. Before she could speak, her foster mom spoke up first. "Please don't leave us." Turns out, part of her foster mom's sadness was because she didn't want her to leave. But she was too young then, thought there was no other way. And with blind determination, she forced her path in one direction. "We'll figure this out together." Turns out, she was deeply loved. She threw herself into her foster mom's arms. No wind or rain tonight, no moon or stars. The world silent as a mystery, she knew nothing of the future. But she thought, she still had the capacity to love. Isn't that wonderful? June, in a large mall in a coastal town of the H Galaxy BEI star. Lucy had just attended Simon's wedding. The man whose life she had tangled with for 2 lifetimes. In this life, he finally broke free and loved someone else. After giving her blessings, she drove toward her art studio. Her first exhibition was about 2 months away. She needed to seize the opportunity from investors. The midday sun was scorching, the asphalt steaming with heat. She had to turn into a side road and rush to a decent little dessert shop in the mall for relief. The server soon brought over some lychee jasmine iced tea. Lucy propped her head with one hand, mindlessly stirring the ice cubes with a straw. 2 years had passed since she regained control of her body. Since that night, she and her foster mom had been figuring things out together, realizing beyond enduring alone, she could seek solace and help. Because she had family and friends who cared for her. Because there were always more solutions than problems. Now her foster parents had inherited her grandfather's farm, raising 20 sheep, 5 cows, a bunch of ducks, and a big dog that watched over it all. To ease their burden, they hired a young guy. He's 2 years younger than her, tall and strong, but with soft light brown curls and a face that flushed red at the sight of her, stuttering for no reason. Life seemed to be getting on track, but she still felt uneasy. Behind her, 2 girls were whispering over a gossip rag. "He's so handsome. Let me see. Yikes. One squealed. It's an obituary. The other gasped. Oh no, what happened? The paper flipped to the second page. Let's see, during a polo game he lost his temper, hit the horse on the head with a mallet, got thrown off, and was stomped to death. Lucy's hand stopped abruptly, her heartbeat slowly picking up. The two girls were silent for a moment. One quietly muttered. Feels like he got what he deserved. The other nodded firmly. Exactly. Such a violent creep. Lucy downed her cold drink in one go. She stood up, walked over to the two girls, and with a gentle look and a smile, she apologized. Sorry to bother you. Can you help me check the name of the deceased? The two girls were momentarily taken aback but quickly responded with a straightforward and cheerful nod. Of course, no problem. Let me see. Ah. Got it. Lucy's hand felt tingly, and there was a faint pain at her fingertips. The girls looked up at her, with big smiles on their faces. It's Henry. In the clear eyes of the girls, Lucy found herself. The buzzing heartbeat sound vanished, and the flickering light spots in front of her eyes disappeared too. She rubbed her fingers, her smile turning genuine. Thank you. After secretly paying for the girls' drinks, she left the sweet shop. Before leaving the mall, she passed by a jewelry store. An hour later, she drove away. On the passenger seat lay a newly bought pearl necklace. The radio was playing a song she liked recently. She softly hummed along. The orphanage raised you all these years, and you won't even spend a few nights with him to earn some cash back? 4 years later, the Galactic Times reported 2 pieces of news. Famous artist Lucy reported a child abuse case. Artist Lucy made a significant purchase of the sacred new orphanage. And, of course, there were those 2 people she owed the biggest apology to. It would be another 6 years before they reached a crucial point in their lives. Until then, she planned to live well and wait quietly.